Joining us at this morning broadcast, and to begin with our special segment on the latest GST reforms. Well, the 56th GST Council meeting, chaired by Union Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman on Wednesday, gave its nod to a two-tier rate structure of 5 and 18%. Now, with the new structure set to be implemented from the 22nd of September at a presser, Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman said that the main drivers of the economy, which are the farmers and agriculture, health, including, were the focus of the decision of the GST Council.
Common man and middle class items mein, there is a complete reduction. Reduction from 18 or from 12 to 5%. I list out those items, all of whom have come to 5% from either 18 or from 12. Common man items such as hair oil, toilet soap, bars, shampoos, toothbrushes, toothpaste, bicycles, tableware, kitchenware and other household articles have all come to 5, whether they were in 18 or whether they were in 12. Similarly, reduction of GST from 5% to nil. 5 से 0 में जाने वाले आइटम्स इंडिकेट कर रहा हूँ. अल्ट्रा हाई टेम्परेचर मिल्क, द UHT मिल्क, छेना और पनीर, all the Indian breads will see nil rate. So रोटी किसी के ऊपर भी, चपाती और रोटी और पराठा और whatever it is, they all come to nil. Reduction of GST from 12% or from 18% to 5%. इसमें फूड आइटम्स बहुत सारे हैं. नमकीन से भुजिया है, सॉसेस है, पास्ता है, इंस्टेंट नूडल्स है, चॉकलेट्स, कॉफ़ी, प्रिजर्व्ड मीट, कॉर्नफ्लेक्स, बटर, घी, ये सब 5% में आ रही है. फिर रिडक्शन फ्रॉम 28 टू 18%. इसमें मिडिल क्लास के एस्पिरेशंस मीट करने वाले बहुत सारे चीज़ हैं. एयर कंडीशनिंग मशीन्स, TVs which are over 32 inches, all TVs now at 18%. I want to underline, all TVs are now at 18%. Dishwashing machines, small cars, motorcycles equal to or less than 350 cc are all now coming to 18%.
The GST Council also approved a special tax of 40% on sin goods such as cigarettes, pan masala and gutka.
That special rate of 40% has also been proposed and it's cleared. That will apply only to pan masala, cigarettes, gutka and other tobacco products such as chewing tobacco, products like zarda, unmanufactured tobacco and BD. All goods including aerated waters containing added sugar or other sweetening matter or flavored, caffeinated beverages, carbonated beverages or fruit drink or carbonated beverages with fruit juice and other non-alcoholic beverages, excluding those specified at lower rates, will all be covered under 40%. All this will be effective 22nd September.
The changes on GST of all products except sin goods will be applicable from the 22nd of September.
Which is the first day of Navaratri. The changes in GST rates of all goods except for pan masala, gutka, cigarettes, chewing tobacco, products like zarda, unmanufactured tobacco, BD, will be implemented with effect from 22nd September 25. Except for these, for all items, the new rates will come into effect from 22nd September.
The Finance Minister also announced reduction of GST on 33 life-saving drugs and medicines from 12% to 0.
$33 life-saving drugs and medicines, and they all come down from 12 to 0. From 5 to 0 and 3 life-saving drugs and medicines used for treatment of cancer, rare diseases and other severe chronic diseases. There are several drugs and medicines coming down to 5 from 12. I'm not listing each one of them out. Like that, very many other items, diagnostic kits, reagents, blood glucose monitoring system, all of them are coming to 5%.
Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman announced that insurance services, which currently attracts 18% GST, will now be fully exempt.
Exemption of GST on all individual life insurance policies, whether term life, ULIP or endowment policies, and reinsurance thereof, to make insurance affordable for common man and increase the insurance coverage in the country. Exemption of GST on all individual health insurance policies, including family floater policies and policies for senior citizens, and reinsurance thereof to make insurance affordable for the common man and increase the insurance coverage in the country.
And now let's understand more about this. And to discuss this, I'm joined by Mr. Ajay Mishra from New Delhi, and also joining us on this broadcast is Mr. Vivek Chauri, who is the former chairman of CBIC and senior advisor to KPMG. A very warm welcome to all the guests and the correspondent, to both the guests here on this special broadcast. First of all, coming on to you, Ajay. Well, after a day-long meeting and with the approval of all the states, the GST reforms sets a new precedent in New India, or the New Bharat, as the government hails, isn't it, Ajay?
Has been announced by the all-powerful GST body is a testimony that it is the cooperative federalism which has played at its best, and during the GST Council meeting, there was not a single state which has not supported this rate rationalization, or to say the simplification of this very special tax reform. GST, as hailed as the India's biggest tax reform since independence, is now entering into the second phase of big ticket reforms, because earlier, when it was being rolled out in 2017, it was called that it is a GST means good and simple tax. So all the reforms which has been announced by the GST Council Chairman, Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman yesterday during the press conference after the day-long marathon meeting of the GST Council, the reforms are aimed at simplification, promoting ease of doing business, ease of living for the common citizen. The process, reforms via simplification of the return filing and refund processes for the small and medium enterprises. The rate rationalization, pruning the 5 tax slab to just 2, standard and merit tax rate of 5% and 18%, and a special category of 40% to discourage the demerit goods and to tax the super luxury items.
Right.
So in a sense that the reforms which has been announced are going to be really big ticket reforms to support the India's growth strategy in the long run, and also prevent the common man from the ones of from the inflationary pressure, so to say. There were many questions that whether these reforms have been taken in the light of recent tariffs imposed by US. The Finance Minister said that this was the reforms in process since a year, so it is not an impact of any external factor, but India is committed to the reforms to boost its economy, to attract the investment, not just from the domestic economy, but from the international, across the border.
Right.
So these reforms are going to have a economical as well as the social impact, more to say, in the long run.
All right, coming on to you, Mr. Chauri. Now, from 4 slabs to 2 slabs and a special one for other goods, which are the sin goods. How do you see this reform?
Good morning, Deepika, and good morning, viewers. Well, there's just one thing that I can think of. This is a reform windfall, and it's very wide and very deep in its manifestation, and that is something which is very welcome. In fact, I think what has been announced yesterday by the Honorable Finance Minister surpasses all expectations that the industry and stakeholders had, with this rate rationalization exercise. Generally, what was going around was that the two slabs of 12% and 28% would be removed. So the discussions were hovering around, how those items will be refitted. But as I said, they're quite startling in terms of the depth they've managed to achieve.
Right.
And one of the very stark things which comes out so clearly and which is so positive for industry and for consumers is the broadbanding of rates for a large range of products. So if you recall, there were lots of issues about classification of food products, for example, because there were different rates applicable to different food products, and there was rate arbitrage, and there were advanced rulings, at variance across states, causing a fair amount of disputes and, contention. But all that has been settled in one stroke by these reforms, and all food products, if you've noticed, have been broadbanded at 5%. So those which were at 12 have moved to 5, but a very large number, which was at 18, has also moved to 5. So it's a very big boost for the food processing sector. Another thing I want to mention with regard to food processing is that there was a residual entry which attracted a very high rate of tax. That was for any food product which was not elsewhere specified. Now, the industry had been clamoring for a long time that this stifles innovation. Any new products that are introduced invariably, attract the highest rate, and therefore, it becomes difficult to make them viable, and at the time of inception. Now that everything has been brought under 5%, that is another issue that has been resolved. Likewise, I find that for agriculture, for personal health care, personal care products, drugs, education, renewables, all these rates have been broadbanded into 5%. So it's a very, very major move. And I think the implications are very long term. The other point which I want to make, Deepika, is that apart from the boost to consumption, which everybody has been talking about for a while, which definitely this package is going to give, the other implication, as I see it, is that the rate structure is now so stable because most of the anomalies and versions have been removed, and they were there right from the inception of GST, and they were a big problem for the industry. Some because of the rate inversions they were causing, the blocking of working capital and all of that. But because we have a fairly stable rate structure, I think in the long term, medium to long term, this is also going to give a big fillip to investment. Because after all, what is it that investors look for? They look for certainty and they look for stability.
Right.
And I think that is something additional, which is not much talked about, which this rate structure is going to provide. So it's a positive every which way I look at it.
Right.
And frankly, if I look for anomalies in the rate structure now, there are almost none that I can find.
Ajay, while we are talking about stability, tell us the kind of impact it may have on the economy considering the current geopolitical situation and the global tariff trauma. Ajay.
When we asked this question directly to the Ministry of Finance, that what will be the impact on the GDP per se, they said that there will be a positive impact, but it is not easy to measure those in terms of GDP growth. But yes, there will be boost to the consumption, there will be boost to the investment, as Vivek sir is pointing out. It is a great relief for all those stakeholders which are important for Viksit Bharat, be it the common man, the middle class, so to say. The farmers, for example, are going to benefit because the GST on the tractor tires and parts have been slashed from 18 to 15%, while the tractors themselves have dropped from 12 to 5%. Biopesticides, micronutrients, drip irrigation systems, as well as the agriculture machinery will now fall in just 5% slab. So while the government is taking all the measures to double the farm income, the savings that the farmers will accrue because of this reduction in the GST rates for the farm mechanization, the equipments needed for the farm mechanization are going to help the agrarian economy.
Right.
While all the essential items for you and me, which we aspire or the middle class aspire to buy during the festive season, automobile sector I think is going to have a big positive impact, because almost all the small cars for 1200 cc of petrol and 1500 cc of diesel will now be reduced from 28% to now just 18%. While the electrical vehicles will continue to be in the 5% bracket, which is a big support for the industry. Only luxury cars have been kept at 40%. And also the labor intensive sectors, as the finance minister has pointed out, that the very focus point of all the discussions is to promote ease of living and also to support the labor intensive sectors. So handicraft sector, leather, footwear, these kind of sectors which in which most of the medium and small enterprises are involved are going to benefit immensely from these measures. As they said, there are the process reforms also, which is likely to unlock the working capital, and the refunds will be available for them. The inverted duty structure mechanism has also been addressed, and that will also prevent the funds to be unlocked from the industry side, and the industry is likely to benefit.
Coming back to you, Mr. Johari, but before that, let's also take a look at what the Prime Minister has said on the GST reforms. Well, Prime Minister Narendra Modi said that the GST Council has given its nod to sweeping reforms in the indirect tax regime, calling it a next generation step to ease the burden on citizens and boost the economic growth as well. Now, in a social media post, Prime Minister said, and I quote him here, the Union government had prepared a detailed proposal for broad-based GST rate rationalisation and process reforms aimed at the ease of living for the common man and strengthening the economy. Glad to state that GST Council, comprising the Union and the states, has collectively agreed to the proposals submitted by the Union government on GST rate cuts and reforms, which will benefit the common man, farmers, MSMEs, middle class, women and youth. The wide-ranging reforms will improve lives of our citizens and ensure ease of doing business for all, especially small traders and businesses, unquote. This has been Prime Minister's tweet on the GST reforms. And also on the other hand, top leaders also including Union Home Minister Amit Shah, Defence Minister Rajnath Singh and External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar have hailed the newly introduced GST reforms, describing them as a step towards improving the ease of living and doing business. So External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar termed the GST Council's decision to adopt the next-gen GST as a historic achievement, saying it will greatly impact India's transformation journey and the government's efforts to improve the ease of living and doing businesses. Home Minister Amit Shah also described the GST tax rate cuts and reforms as a historic decision, saying they will provide major relief to the poor and middle class while supporting farmers, MSMEs, women and youth. Defence Minister Rajnath Singh also hailed the next-gen GST reforms, saying the move will enhance the ease of living, further strengthen ease of doing business, empower small businesses and boost India's self-reliance under Atmanirbhar Bharat or self-reliant India. Union Commerce and Industry Minister Piyush Goyal lauded the GST reforms, calling it a decision that reinforced the vision of Viksit Bharat. Mr. Johari, coming back to you, India is also aiming to become the third largest economy, and with that vision in focus, a people-friendly financial reform is being welcomed by many. We just saw the tweets coming in. How will this aid to India's vision of becoming a developed nation by the year 2047? Mr. Johari.
if you were to make international comparisons, Deepika, then what these reforms achieve is to lower the incidence of tax, domestic taxes, which is mainly GST today, quite substantially. And I have not done any calculation yet, but I think the average collection rate for GST, owing to these rate changes, will come down quite sharply from 11.6 to something like 9%. Now, that compares very, very favorably with GST regimes all over the world, in many parts of the world, in fact. In many parts of the world, I must also mention that the rates of GST are quite high compared to India. So that's a very favorable comparison, and that will definitely be, a sweetener for investors when they look at India as one of the options for, making investments into manufacturing and other sectors. So I think from the international point of view, and coupled with that is, the fillip that this will give to certain export-led sectors. And Ajay mentioned, labor-intensive sectors like leather, ready-made garments, which have received not just a rate cut, but also removal of anomalies in a large way. Take textiles, for example. The fiber neutrality which the new rate structure ensures, will also be a very big fillip to exports and manufacture ready-made garments and so on. Likewise, for leather, all raw materials like raw hides, skins, etc., have also been brought down to 5%, which again, are the basic raw materials for footwear and, for other leather accessories and products, which are exported in a very big way. So I think overall, the reduction in, the GST incidence and the specific focus which the government has given to certain sectors, defense being one, renewables being another, this will definitely be a big fillip to India's export competitiveness.
Right.
And please remember that one of the things which is essential for attaining the goal of Viksit Bharat is that we need to shore up our share in global exports. And I think this is going to be one of those reforms which will definitely contribute to growth in exports, along with, the growth in consumption and investment that I talked about earlier. The third thing which I want to mention is the fillip that it's likely to give to construction and the infrastructure sector because of the sharp drop in the rate applicable to cement, for example. So all in all, there are many pieces, which are very, very positive for growth. Another thing I want to mention in the context of exports is, an anomaly or, an issue which was pending resolution for a long time, which is about export of services. The GST law recognizes a category of intermediaries, and the place of supply rules for intermediaries were such that even genuine exports were very often blocked and not treated as exports of services because of the definition of the place of supply rules for intermediaries. That has been fixed as part of this package, and because of which I think many blockages which the industry was experiencing in the export of services will also be overcome. So it's, a large number of things which have been done for specific sectors, which I think will definitely boost both exports, consumption and investment.
Ajay, when we talk about sectoral benefits, another very important development is zero GST on life-saving drugs and also other drugs and medicines that will become cheaper. How much of a relief is this, not only for the beneficiaries, but for the entire medical sector, Ajay?
Healthcare is one of the very important sectors which has been the focus of this GST and the next generation GST reforms, Deepika. And as I just mentioned that there are two aspects of it. One, the rates have been lowered on the essential essential drugs used for the treatment of cancer, AIDS, and other critical illnesses. And another big move is to make the insurance premium both from the life side as well as from the health side to nil, which is a great a great boost to the insurance sector. The finance ministry has yesterday assured that that all the insurance companies have assured the government that they will pass on the benefit to the consumers because of this. But I just want to put a question to Vivek sir. If there is no GST on the insurance, Vivek sir, and they will not be availing the ITC, the input tax credit on insurance premium. So will that be, how will that be taken into account? Because now the insurance industry will not be able to get the benefit of ITC. So how much of the benefit will consumer get is not very clear on the insurance side. Vivek sir, if you could help me on that.
That's a very important question that Mr. Mishra has raised. Mr. Johri, if you can please answer that.
Yeah. So there are two considerations that we must take into account. When we're talking about health and life insurance being dropped to zero, it is a fact that because the rate of tax on these insurance products will be zero, insurance companies will not be able to avail of ITC of inputs and input services that they use to deliver these services. Now, but we must remember that what has been reduced to zero is only personal health insurance and personal life insurance taken by individuals. Please remember that there are other insurance products that these companies sell, and also that there are corporate accounts, for health and life insurance, which are purchased by corporate bodies. So those have not been given this exemption. So I think it will be a cost to the insurance industry, but it will be able to absorb it because it has a bucket of services that it offers. Moreover, I think the insurance companies have given an assurance to the government that they will pass on the benefit to consumers. So I think we'll have to wait and watch, but those are the two things that I thought are important for answering this question.
Mr. Johri, we'll come back to you. Thank you so much, Mr. Ajay Mishra, for joining us and bringing us a rounded perspective on this very important development. Before going ahead and taking this discussion forward, let's take a look at the industry leaders and what they are saying.